We are looking at number 3, the third of our little views of the town of Greensburg in 1949 when the sesquicentennial took place. And we're going to see such things as the lumber mill, which was there since 1940. 1940 was when the older mill down on Pittsburgh Street burned down. That's the older one. And this mill here is still there, but the sheds which used to run down here and on the other side of Urania Avenue burnt down in the 80s. And that place is still there. That's the view from the air. That's the office building that still remains. These buildings are still gone. The next thing we'll see will be this building from down on the playing field, down on Offutt Field. These are the foundations of what were once the sheds where the lumber was stored. Now we go uptown to Sears and Roebuck, right in the middle of town. Sears store was right at the intersection of Otterman and Main. And then right down over the hill at the intersection of Otterman and Maple, they had a place where they did service work on cars, put new tires on, new batteries in, or flush a radiator. This was the place in town. That was Sears, before the malls were built and sucked all the economic life out of town. Now we go further down Otterman Street to Westmoreland Supply. That building has been there, that business has been there since 1902. And prior to that, many, many years ago, before the 1850s, there was a brewery that sat there. This was the North Brothers Brewery that once upon a time sat there. After that was there, the Rue brothers, another set of brothers, had a business there that made carriages. The Rue Brothers Carriage Factory, right on Otterman. This is Maple up here. And right here is the location of what is now Westmoreland Supply. And in 1903, Westmoreland Supply also had a trackside business where they sold building supplies right beside the Southwest branch. This is Brewery Lane coming up, meeting Urania Avenue. And you had a place where railroad cars could dump their things like coal and shale and the kind of things that you would need if you were building on a large scale. They could sell things to contractors and people building their houses. This we get on to South Greensburg, Ryco, and this shows what they were doing. They were doing products that would control, handle, switch on and off very, very big amounts of power. Frankly, this outfit had their origins in Westinghouse in Pittsburgh. They were guys who worked there in the engineering department and decided to go on their own to make a company that would turn off and on large amounts of power. This is when they were just starting out in South Greensburg, 1914, 1915. It eventually became ITE Circuit Breaker. That's the building now, which is not used for those purposes. The origins of the company go back to Ligonier in 1910, when they started out in an old bowling alley out there. That's their substation in Greensburg, down on Mount Pleasant Street. That's the business they were in, handling large amounts of electricity. We go up to Ludwig, Charlie Brothers. Used to have a big grocery warehouse up there. From what I can tell, Charlie Brothers is still in business in groceries, but they're into retail. The Shop and Save stores are now in that domain. This is where they used to sit. The ambulance company up there is now at the corner of Otterman and Washington. Shallers, down in South Greensburg. This building was built by Nabisco. When they moved on, the local fire department used it for a while. And then by 1948, the sons of the original Schaller moved in and took it over as a bakery and made additions to it. That was the original E.J. Schaller, who opened up his place in Greensburg in 1908 on Green Street. And he passed away in 1945, and the sons of the family then moved on to South Greensburg. That was E.J. Schaller with his buggy. After he had that buggy, he was the person who had the first Studebaker truck in the area. Now we get on to the big granddaddy of them all, Walworth, which was a huge operation in terms of what you'd see around here as far as production facilities. This map gives you an impression of the footprint of the place. I mean, that was big as far as whatever you'd see around here as far as production goes. 750,000 square feet under roof. That was an early shot when the company was still owned by Kelly and Jones. That was Kelly and Jones that founded it in 1887. And by 1925, they were bought out by a company from New England called Walworth. That's what they were making, valves and fittings. And that is what you call a real valve. That's a gate valve. That is the gate in place, and then this control gearing mechanism up here would lift that gate up and allow the fluid to move through there. That's a little print, intaglio print I made back in the 80s of the place when it was being torn down. These are things that were made there. A smaller valve. These were fittings. This was a coupling, a T or actually a cross coupling. And the old Stilson wrench, they made a lot of different things there, not just these things. That's the factory floor. Here's a guy down there working on a valve. Factory floors are not usually pretty places, but a lot of stuff got done there. And that's about it. And we'll see you again. So long for this one.